This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Back on the position review grind here, and we're going to start with the running back room. Now, if you're no stranger to my coverage, you would know that this is a room that at the same time I have a lot of optimism for. I also have a fair amount of skepticism for. And this is one of these rooms where I think it's normal for your feelings about it to be complex. I think you're definitely allowed to feel multiple things at once about this room. Am I excited about the new era of the Cleveland Brown running back with Quinshon Judkins, with Dylan Samson? Yes, I am. Like, these two running backs are as exciting as any running back we've drafted since Nick Chubb, right? Not saying they'll be as good. It's going to be hard for anybody to reach that bar being as good as Nick Chubb. But this is the most serious they've taken revamping that running back room since they drafted Nick Chubb in 2018. But on the flip side, this is the most unsure I've been about a running back room since 2018, and that's simply because Nick Chubb no longer plays for the Cleveland Browns. So people have complicated feelings about this room. Nick Chubb's not here anymore. Kareem Hunt's been gone, right? We saw him have a good year with Kansas City last year. This room is new, but this room is very unproven. So this is a room where I really don't know what to feel about, especially if we're talking about before camp, before we've seen these guys put pads on in NFL practice, before we've seen these guys get any kind of NFL action. It's really hard to project what this room is going to be. There's a lot of excitement, right? And I think this is something that people have to learn to live with, right? Because there's a lot of excitement. But anytime I criticize this room, people ask me, like, I'm not excited about the room. No, I'm excited about the room. But I understand that with excitement oftentimes comes a lot of uncertainty. Like, most of the things you ever get excited about are because your ideal of what those things could be is unlimited, because you don't have enough information to limit that idea, which leads to the excitement that you're having. That's how excitement usually works, right? It's this unlimited idea. It could be anything. It could be this perfect thing to you. We don't know what the limitations to this are yet. So we can just imagine that there are no limitations. And that makes us very excited. So with excitement, oftentimes comes uncertainty. And that's why this room is exciting, but also inherently very uncertain. So let's go top to bottom of what I expect this room to be. Quinshon Judkins. He was a second-round pick, early second-round pick, right? And I think a lot of people get parallels to Nick Chubb with Quinshon, simply because he was in a two running back system at Ohio State. He was the more powerful of the two running backs, like Nick Chubb was, same way that Nick Chubb was the more powerful running back between him and Sony Michel. Nick Chubb was selected second, I think, in the draft because Sony Michel was taken in the first round. Travion was expected to go first, but was taken second. The Browns took Quinshon Judkins. There's some similarities there between Sony Michel and Travion Henderson and Nick Chubb and Quinshon Judkins. But I think the similarities kind of end there. I don't think these are the similar type of running back prospects at all. They don't remind me of each other when I see them run. Quinshon reminds me a lot of Kareem Hunt, especially like early Kareem Hunt. Really big, really physical, not the best vision in the world, but good enough to get to where he needs to. Not the best bend in the world, but quick enough to get where he needs to and powerful enough to break the one or two tackles he needs to make a big play. He's NFL size already, right? When it comes to running backs, I care a lot about the weight. Not saying that you can't be successful at like 200 pounds in the NFL. There are running backs who are successful at 200 pounds, but 225 is the standard NFL bell cow running back weight, right? Like that is not really much of a projection there. So he's 225. Good size on him, really good athletic profile, really good history of production. This is somebody who was the best running back in the SEC when he was in the SEC, and one of the best running backs in the country, and 1,000-yard rusher in the Big Ten while splitting carries at Ohio State. So a national championship caliber team, one of the best college football rosters we've seen in quite a while, right? So really good football player. A lot of people seem to like him. Maurice Jones-Drew has co-signed him as a day one NFL-ready running back for all the reasons that we have mentioned there. I think he's going to be good for at least about 200 carries. Anything above 200, I think is a bit much to ask a rookie, unless that rookie is undeniably special. I don't know if Quinshon is going to be there. What I do expect is Quinshon to be really useful. Also, what I think Quinshon's going to be useful for is his yards per carry aren't going to be great, right? Like, if we're looking at Quinshon to get 5 yards a carry like Nick Chubb, he's not that kind of running back. The way Nick Chubb got 5 yards a carry was that Nick Chubb broke off a lot of big chunk plays consistently, right? So yeah, he lose a couple of yards for like 3-4 carries, but he break off at least 4 or 5 20-yard chunk plays a game, right? Like that's how Nick Chubb got his work in. You look at Nick Chubb and you think he's just like Derrick Henry, a physical bruiser, but he's really a big play guy. Nick Chubb was, and that's how Nick got to those amazing yard per carry numbers. Quinshon is not that. Quinshon is a wrecking ball, right? Like he's a battering ram, and you're going to use him in situations where you're not expecting a big chunk play to happen. Maybe he creates a couple. Like I would equate him more to a Marshawn Lynch than a Nick Chubb. Somebody who can be a battering ram, right? In a way that Nick Chubb was never useful as a battering ram. That's why Kareem Hunt was very useful in that tandem with Nick Chubb, because Kareem Hunt could just be that battering ram for this team. That's what I expect him to do. So there's going to be a lot of times where him getting 1 or 2 yards is a win, because that's the difference between a 4th down and a 1st down, or a 4th down and a touchdown. So I don't expect his yards per carry to be crazy, especially in his rookie year or ever. I don't think he's that kind of running back. But what I do expect is that the Browns are much better in short yardage than they were last year, and much better in goal line than they've been the last 3 years, right? If we get that improvement there, I think the Quinshon Judkins pick makes a ton of sense. 1st down efficiency as well, right? Obvious rundowns. This is somebody you're going to run a lot, and you're probably going to want him to get 4 or 5 yards a carry, or at least 4 yards a carry there. In those situations. And if he can get you 4 yards on 1st down, 4 yards on 1st down, he can force a 2nd and 6. If he can get you a 1st down on 3rd and short, if he gets you a touchdown on 3rd and goal, that's winning for Quinshon. None of those things scream super high yards per carry. So he's not somebody I'm going to be super focused and locked in on that number for early in his career, because he's not going to be used in that way. If he does have tremendous yards per carry, it's because he's breaking a lot of tackles, and that's tremendous, right? In the same way when Marshawn had those numbers, it's like, oh, it's because he's just destroying everybody at the line of scrimmage. So that is kind of like the hope for Quinshon, right? Ultimately, he's a rookie. I could feel as good about it as I want to right now. Doesn't guarantee anything. And I think that's the overriding theme with this Cleveland Browns room. Dylan Samson, he's a rookie I like. I watched his tape. I saw him at Tennessee. I think the tools are there for him to be a useful running back in the NFL. My big concern with him is the transition time. I know everybody brings up that Dylan was the SEC rushing yards leader. And look, I think Dylan can be a good running back eventually in the NFL. I'm just not going to feel comfortable guaranteeing that he's going to be great year one. And I think the Browns are kind of putting him in a position where he has to be good year one in order for this run game to be what they want it to be. And my point is, like, we could bring up rushing leader in the SEC, and it sounds very impressive. But Cody Schrader was the rushing leader in the SEC in 2023. We didn't really hear much from him his rookie year, right? A couple of years ago, it was Quinshon Judkins. And then before him, it was Tyler Batty. Like, it's not a guarantee. Najee Harris, right? Like, these aren't running backs who came in and put the world on fire. Lynn Bowden Jr. Like, I don't even think he's in the league anymore, unfortunately. I think he's a Youngstown native. But that is my point, right? Is it's nice that he was super productive in college, but that doesn't necessarily translate to being pro ready in the NFL. And I think the Browns are really betting on him being pro ready in the NFL. And I don't know if I love that bet, right? Again, Cody Schrader had one rushing attempt last year with the Los Angeles Rams. So, like, that's my point. You can have a ton of production in college. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the same type of runner in the NFL, especially when you don't have that NFL ready archetype build, right? Cody Schrader was what, 5'8", 202. Dylan Samson's about 5'9", 205. Now, Dylan's a much better athlete than Cody, and that's why Cody was a late round pick. And was he even a late round pick? Yeah, but that's why Cody was wherever he did, and why Dylan went in the 4th round, right? Like, so there is a difference there. I don't want to say that they're the same prospect, but leading the SEC in rushing yards just isn't, the guaranteed accolade that I think some people want it to be. And I worry that we're just putting a lot on this dude's plate in year one that he might not be ready for. Keep in mind, he's coming from the Tennessee system that is notoriously difficult to transition into the NFL with. We have seen this locally with guys like Cedric Tillman. But yeah, it's been known that Tennessee system that they run out there is so foreign to what NFL teams do and how NFL teams use terminology that it's always been a tough transition for their guys coming into the NFL. That's just been the case, right? It's been a tough transition. And I have excitement for Dylan, but I am concerned that the role might be too big for him in year one than what it needs to be. And we're going to have to rely on, duct taping this up with like a Jerome Ford. And I don't think that's a great solution because we know what Jerome Ford looks like when he gets overexposed in carries. And we're kind of setting ourselves up in a situation where that's a very likely scenario that we're going to have to overexpose Jerome Ford. Now, maybe I'm wrong about Jerome. Maybe Jerome can get 200 carries and have his productivity, scale in the same way that people want it to, but I doubt it. I'm not a big believer in it. And that's where it gets me to my concerns about this running back room. We're betting a lot on hope in this room, right? You watch this video. It's a lot of, I hope Quinshon Judkins is as good as I think he's going to be. I hope Dylan Samson is good enough in year one to be able to fulfill the role that they want him to fulfill. I hope that Jerome Ford's carries can, his carry production can scale with how many carries he gets. I hope that we find a better 4th running back than Pierre Strong. A lot of this stuff can work out as is, and it can be a great running back room. A lot of this stuff can fall apart easily, and we can see where they can fall apart. That is my big dilemma with this running back room, right? On potential, it could be a potential B+ to A row, right? Quinshon is a every down back, and Dylan Samson provides a great counterbalance to him, and then Jerome Ford fills in the gaps, doing the end arounds, the big play stuff. This could be one of the better running back rooms in the NFL and one of the younger and cheaper running back rooms in the NFL at that, and that'd be fantastic because I can see what they're going for, what the skill sets are that they're bringing in, and how those skill sets match. I love the skill set of Quinshon. I love how Dylan's skill set pairs with Quinshon, and I love how Jerome Ford's skill set pairs with these two running backs. Like, if we're just looking at that from a functional point of view on paper, I like this this running back room quite a lot, and I think it's very complementary to each other. My issue is, what's the insurance policy for Dylan Samson? Because if Dylan not being ready means you have to move where Jerome Ford is, then you're putting Jerome Ford into a role I don't like, and you're putting Dylan Sampson into a role that I don't like, and possibly even putting in Quinshon Judkins into a role that I don't like. As easily as these dominoes can fit perfectly and fall beautifully, one misalignment can mess it all up. That is the big concern. So this could be an A room. This could be a D+. So I'm going to just call it down the middle. I'm going to give this room a C+. That's what I'm going to give this room right now. There's a lot of room for improvement. We could look at this room as one of the driving forces of the team's success by the end of the year, or we can look at it like Jenga blocks that fell down, right, at the end of the year. We're like, oh, this is where it went wrong. We made a bet on this. That bet didn't pay off. It's kind of like this running back room is a parlay. If I'm keeping it a bean with y'all, right? Like it feels like a parlay where like we're betting on Quinshon, and that's a pretty solid bet. And then we're spicing it up with this Dylan bet, and then we're gonna put Jerome Ford in there for 100 carries. And like the Dylan part of that parlay is the one I'm concerned about. If the Dylan parlay part of this parlay hits, we're good. We're awesome. It's gonna cash out. Because I feel pretty good about Jerome Ford with 100 carries. I feel pretty good about Quinshon with 200 carries. But if that Dylan one don't hit, then we're going to have to move some pieces around, and that's where things kind of get shaky. But that's my thoughts on this running back room. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.